Namaskar and welcome you all to Srishti Sambhrama 2020. This is a flagship festival that has been conducted for almost a decade by the Heritage Trust, a not-for-profit trust, along with the support of BNMIT. The whole idea of this was to celebrate the Earth Mother, as she is called by many of the indigenous cultures. And in India, we call her Bhumi Devi or Bhudevi. For us here in India, in the Indian ethos, and also in many of the ancient cultures, the entire creation is divinity. And somewhere down the line, things changed, but we are looking today to see if we can absorb the wisdom of the ancients in this session to see if today we can bring that knowledge forward and actually use it to improve the situation that we are in today and improve the quality of our lives. At this point, I'd like to share with you a small story that comes from the Bhagavata Puranam, where there was this king called Vena, and he was a terrible fellow. He went out into the forest without reason, hunted animals, cut down trees, even killed human beings, all just for his own sport. And finally, his own advisory board had to see that he was put to an end. And then came Prithu Maharaja. Prithu Maharaja was part avatar of Vishnu. And when Prithu came, he found that Mother Earth had not yielded food for his people. And he got very upset and he got into his chariot and took his bow and arrow and went out ready to punish Mother Earth for not feeding his children. Bhumi Devi manifested herself as a cow and started running. And at a point, she could run no more, and she stopped and she turned around and she asked him, "What is it you want?" And then he said, "I'm going to punish you because you have not yielded enough food for my children, and my children are suffering." And she said, "I will yield if you take care of me." And then she gave a whole long list of what he should do to take care of her if she had to yield. And one of the things she also said was, when it rains, store the water so I'm not parched in the summer months. So right then and there in the Bhagavatam itself, we've been given all the rules of how we should take care of Mother Earth. I thought I should share this with you because this is the wisdom of our ancients. And so today we just started with this beautiful song, Namami Gange. For us here, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, everything is Ishvara. And so we had this beautiful song sung by the Trichur brothers. And I welcome all of you here. And we have a very wonderful panel here with us today. I will first introduce Srikrishna Mohan because he's going to speak first. And then I will introduce the rest of you. So welcome to all of you. A short introduction. The Vidwan Srikrishna Mohan and Sri Raamkumar, better known as the Trichur brothers, are one of the leading classical musicians of South India. Son of the leading Mridangam Vidwan, Sri Trichur Mohan, they had their initial training from Madurai, Srimati Balamani Ishwar. They were trained further by Sri Tamarkadu Govindan Nambudri. It's a huge privilege for the brothers to be associated with the Namami Gange, a project revived by the Honorable Prime Minister to clean up the national river Ganga. Their composition, Namami Gange, is now the official theme song for this mammoth and historic movement. The brothers are also honored to have been invited to participate and present the song in the Dubai Stadium when Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi visited Dubai to address a gathering of more than 50,000 people. Before I request him to speak, I would like to say that for this journey that has been brought to you by the Center for Soft Power, we have a lot of collaborators who have been so kind and been so encouraging that we feel that, the next year we have to do this in, twice as big as we're doing it this year. We have the BNMIT, we have Heritage Trust, we have the ICCS, that is the International Council for Cultural Studies. And then we have the Artists for Wildlife Art, AWN. Then we had the Wildlife Trust of India. Then we have the Deputy High Commission, the Deputy British High Commission in Bangalore. And of course, Indic is there. And this whole program is brought to you in collaboration with all these people by the Center for Soft Power. Srikrishna, I'd like you to tell us about the relation between music and Mother Nature and the wild. And we look forward to what you have to say. Thank you so much. You have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Can't hear you still. Maybe if you take off your headphones. And do it directly from your mic.
Srikrishna ji, if you could see your microphone is on full volume.
Okay, is your microphone on full volume? You want to go out and come back again and see, connect on your phone or something and see if it works. Okay, meanwhile, I will introduce the chair of this evening, Professor Yashwant Pathak. He has completed his education, his MS and PhD in pharmaceutical technology from India and EMBA and MS conflict management from Sullivan University, US. He is an associate dean for faculty affairs at the newly launched College of Pharmacy, University of South Florida, Tampa. With extensive experience in academia and industry, he has over 150 publications, research papers, abstracts, chapters and reviews, 7 books in nanotechnology and drug delivery systems, 6 in nutraceuticals and several books in cultural studies. His areas of research include drug delivery systems, nanotechnology applications in pharmacy. He has traveled extensively over 80 countries and actively involved in many pharmacy colleges in different countries. I hope you heard when I said that he has written several books on cultural studies. So that's why he is here. Not that the pharmacy is not important, but the cultural studies is what has brought him to this session. Yes, Srikrishna, can we hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please, go ahead.
Thank God, thank God. Let me just try wearing this the headset, and it should work now because it seems to be some connection issue. Hold on. You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Thank God. Okay. All right. So, namaskaram to all of you. Big hello to the wonderful panelists. Before I start talking about Namami Gange, I would like to thank Vijay Lakshmi and team for inviting Ram and me. Ram unfortunately could not join today. So, you know, we've been associated with your team for quite some time now, and it's always a pleasure to connect music with nature, because that is exactly how it is intended. And it's always nice to, you know, like in the past, while we perform for your dear Sambhrama, performing in all these lovely heritage sites and nature affiliated venues have been wonderful. So um, to quickly say about talk about Namami Gange, we were inspired to do this by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji while he spoke about the national river at the Mediation Square, where he addressed the overseas community. And you know, Indian classical music has always been very deeply connected with nature. By nature, I mean not only not only water and air, but also the wildlife. So if we look at even the swaras, the basic swaras that is used in the Indian classical music, both Carnatic and Hindustani, there are basically 7 notes, and all these 7 notes are associated with either the sound of a particular form of nature or the sound of a particular form of like wildlife. So you know there is this wonderful song which I thought I'd share with all of you. This is come in the movie called His Highness Abdullah, and the song is composed by Kaidapuram Damodaran Nambudiri, and he talks about the connection of each note with nature. So I'm going to quickly sing this a few lines from the song. ದೇವಸಭಾತಲಂ ರಾಗಿಲಮಾಗುವನ್ನಾದಮಯುಗಮೇ ಸ್ವಾಗತಂ ಸ್ವಾಗತಂ ಸರಿಗಮ ಪರಿಗಮ ಪದ ಗಮ ಪದ ನಿಮ ಪದ ನಿಸ മയൂരനാദം സ്വരമായി വിടരും ഷഡ്ജമനാഹതമന്ത്രം. Mayuranadam swaramai vidarum. It's in Malayalam. So what this means is the swara shadjam, the basic note, the shruti, the pitch in which any singer in this world sings, it's actually come from the peacock. Mayura means peacock. And I'm going to skip a lot of lines because I know I don't have much time here. ഋഷഭസ്വരങ്ങളായി പൗരുഷമേകും ശിവവാഹനമേ നന്ദി. So Rishabha. So the next note, Rishabha, is actually associated with the the Vahana of Lord Shiva, which is Rishabha or the bull. So Rishabham is supposed to be a very masculine note, and it's supposed to have evolved from the Rishabha Vahana. Okay, and you can say that he goes on to describe the other swaras. Gandharam is supposed to give you santosham or happiness. Madhyamam is from this animal called Krauncham. I'm not exactly sure what it gets translated to in English. Panchamam is from the Kokila. So, and it's associated with the season called spring. Okay, and the note Daivatam is is associated with bringing about rainfall. So, മേഘരാഗങ്ങളെ തൊട്ടുണരൂണത മഞ്ജൂഷമന്ത്രം ദൈവതം. So it says that with the Devatam you can invoke rains into our system, and so on and so forth. So this is a wonderful song that actually portrays how hello, am I audible? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank God, because I just got a message saying my video was switched off.
Your video was switched off, but your audio was okay.
All right. Okay. So basically, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni are the 7 swaras in Indian classical music, which we just kind of went about in a very brief manner. And this would form the crux of anything that you call music over the world, across the globe. And each of these notes, as I could briefly explain, is associated with some form of nature. And Indian classical music especially is also connected with divinity. It is in fact a part of Sama Vedas, one of the 4 Vedas. And there is a ragam called Amrita Varshini, for example. So Sagama Pani Sani Pamaga Sani Sa. So I'm going to render this one line, and then I'll explain what this kriti or this composition is about. Ananda Amrita Garshini Amrita Varshini Haradi Pujite Shive Bhavani Sananda Hridaya Sadaye Nilaye Satya Suvrishtihe Tavetvam Santatam Chintaye Amriteshwari Salilam Varshaya 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 Ananda Amrita. So for those who don't follow Sanskrit, this song is composed by one of the trinities of Indian Carnatic music, which is Muthuswami Dikshitar. And the story goes that he was in this particular place, and they were actually suffering from a very, very severe drought. So then Dikshitar decides to sing in this ragam Amrita Varshini, which again is scientifically proven to, invoke the blessings of the rain gods and bring about the clouds to shower the place where the song is rendered or this raga is rendered. And history goes on to say that while the Trichur sang this kriti and prayed to the Almighty, the whole city was like, they had a heavy downpour, and he had to sing another kriti to make sure that the rains subside so that normal life can continue. So that's a very similar raga in Hindustani, which is called Raga Megh. Uh, I just realized that I can go on and on about the connection that music has with nature. In fact, most of our compositions, in one way or the other, talks about either the river that's associated with that particular temple or city, or it talks about. In fact, one of the other very famous set of compositions is called the Panchabhuta Kshetra Kritis. The Panchabhutas are basically the five elements of nature, which is sky, water, air, fire, and earth. So these five compositions are about each of these particular elements, and each of these composition is a magnum opus in itself, and we can go on and on talking about this. So I'm really at a loss to continue, because if I start, this can go on for the next 20-30 minutes. So I would like to conclude my, if I can call this a very brief summary about how Indian classical music especially is associated with nature.
Namaskar, and thank you so much,
Hey,
Srikrishna, for joining us.
pleasure.
And I'm sure the session will go on beautifully with such a beautiful invocation that we had praying to our Mother Gange. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I now invite Professor Yashwant Pathak ji to come on and take this session on the wisdom of the ancients forward. Thank you, sir, and we hand it over to you now.
Thank you very much, Vijaya Lakshmi ji. It's such a great honor for me to be on this program, and I am 100% now convinced that I don't believe that I really deserve this to be called as chair. So let me be a simple participant and volunteer rather than calling me chair, because that is a dishonor to the enjoyed your explanation. I thought you should have gotten more time. So, this is a very interesting topic which this organization has taken it up. And, the whole world is looking at uh, what will be my future, what will be the future of our future generations. And this is where there is a very beautiful saying in Sanskrita, which most of the Indians are very much aware of it, but probably I am going to tell you a little different thing. It says that Mata Bhumi Putro Aham Pruthivyam. So every one of us, our mother is Mother Earth, and we are the children of the Mother Earth. But it will be surprised to know that when it comes to the Native American, they have a saying which says that Mita Kwe Wayasin, which means we are all relations, and because we are children of the Mother Earth. And this is where the connection between the Mother Earth and every individual on earth is realized by most of the ancient traditions around the world. And if you look at the African traditions or pagan traditions in Europe, or Australian Aboriginal, the Maoris in New Zealand, all of them had such a great respect for Mother Earth. So it has been expressed in terms of many different proverbs and many different uh, songs and traditional ceremonies and whatnot. So this is something which all of us cherish, the being the children of the Mother Earth, and that was experienced by most of the ancient traditions around the world. When I'm saying ancient traditions, I'm referring to the traditions which are existing in the world for more than 2000 years. And then if you see now in the United States, we have another very interesting group. They are known as Haudenosaunee. Probably my sister who has come from Ontario, Canada, she must be aware of that. That Haudenosaunee is the people of big house, because they think that every child of the Mother Earth has a place in this big house. And that is where the connection of human being to the Mother Earth is expressed by all the ancient traditions around the world. It is one of the unique relationship which they experienced over the period of thousands of years. And they thought that unless the children of the Mother Earth take care of the Mother Earth, it will be impossible for the Mother Earth to survive. And this is where the challenge is coming, and there is a guidance which we can really seek from all these ancient traditions around the world. And recently, there is a very famous person in United States. She represents the Native Americans. She's very young. She is a Stanford graduate, Laila Johnson, and she made a very beautiful comment regarding the fires which are happening in California. She said that thousands of years the Native Americans survived without these fires, and now suddenly why the fires are coming? Because the children of the Mother Earth are not taking care of the Mother Earth properly. And that's where the ancient wisdom, the wisdom of the elders of the Native Americans, Africans, everywhere, they have been connected with nature right from their childhood, and they are honoring the nature in and out with so many ceremonies. And I think this is a great, very timely program which is being organized. And I'm so happy to have such a great panel for discussing this celebration of the Mother Earth, and they all belong to all different scenarios. So even though there is a list here, I'm going to start with my sister who is sitting in Guatemala, and you have her online here, Elizabeth Araujo. So Elizabeth has been working with these issues all her life, more or less. She has been concentrating, she has been traveling. She's like a wandering monk. If we say in Indian perspective, Elizabeth is nothing but a wandering monk. And she travels from Japan to America to different countries. She attends most of the uh, congregations of ancient tradition people, and then she delivers a message. That message is so strong. She delivers the Mayan message to the world, and Mayan culture, Mayan traditions are so close to our Hindu traditions that I always keep on telling her. When I took her to, she went to Arunachal Pradesh, and nobody even recognized that she's from Guatemala. Everybody thought that she's from Arunachal Pradesh. And that is how Elizabeth has been doing fantastic work in, she's an Elizabeth elder mother, they call it. And she has been traveling, wandering monk, and I'm so honored to have Elizabeth Araujo on this. And I'm sorry for the, I'm reshuffling this schedule timing, but I will introduce them and then we'll follow the timing. So we have another very wonderful person, and she is Becky Big Cano, and she is from Ontario, Canada. You know, Canada has a very strong presence of Native American activities in Canada, and she is one of the leaders of her group there. And you know, the Native Americans have been so close, and that is where the Mitakoe Oyasin comes, that is where the Haudenosaunee comes, and their philosophy is absolutely so important for us to imbibe, inculcate in our day-to-day life, because the Native Americans have done phenomenal work and thought processes they have developed. And there are so many people, and I would like to share one small thing about Native Americans, and then most of the Indian participants will love this. One of the Native American elders says that if you want to talk to God, it's very easy. Go to a secluded place and meditate. And now our Trichur brother will love this, because the Native American says that if you understand the music of the breeze moving through the woods, if you understand the language of the birds, they are talking with each other, And that is the time when you can talk to the God. But the key to talk to the God is to keep yourself mum. The moment you start talking, God stops talking. So obviously, the Native Americans have realized that if you want to talk to God, you keep mum. The more you talk, the more God goes away from you. And obviously, this is a beautiful thing, and they are expressing that in terms of music, which we started with Namami Gange. So if you understand the music of the wind or breeze which is going through the woods, that's where you start talking to the God. And this is the philosophy of Native America. This is the ancient wisdom. So I really we are honored to have our sister Becky Beek from Ontario on this panel. I have a very distinguished personality on this panel, Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, and she is representing the Chinmaya Vidyapitam. Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, she is a professor. She has supervised, I don't know how many, 19 or 20 PhDs. She has got several honors. If I want to repeat all those honors, that will complete probably the whole time. But she is one of the most prominent personality in uh, Indian academic scenario, especially in the scenario of Sanskrit. And I am seeing that the Sanskrit language is reviving, and a day will come that every Indian will speak Sanskritam. And I am sure Gauri Mahulikar will be loving that dream that we will all be speaking Sanskritam, because Sanskritam is the mother of all the ancient traditions and all the wisdom there. I have my friend who is here on line. His name is Mr. Basil Ugorji. I don't know whether he has joined here or not yet, but Basil comes from Nigeria. He migrated to United States and he started he has a master's degree and he is doing his PhD in conflict management, but he has specialized uh, a great area which is so important presently. And you all in India watch the American scenario, I always tell that Indians know more about America than I am sitting in America. And that's where the lot of uh, collisions are happening in the American society. You must have heard about the Floyd. There are a lot of killings happening. And this is where the role of Basil comes into the picture. Basil is working on ethno-religious mediation. And all these ethnic cultures, all these I am that is not a correct word to express these cultures. These are ancient cultures, they are not ethnic cultures. So ancient cultures have their own ways of life. They are all dharmic traditions. They are all considered to be dharmic traditions, and that's why these ancient cultures have their own way of behavior, own way of life, own way of thinking. And that's why when you want to mediate, you need to utilize this ethno-religious mediation, and this is what Basil is doing. He's doing a phenomenal work in United States. He's based in New York, and I hope he has joined here. And then I have two more wonderful people who are on our panel. Dr. Abba Pulu, he is a professor in Northeast India. I was so impressed when Professor Gauri Mahulikar said that she has visited Northeast India. Very few Indians go there. And Northeast India is one of the, you know, soul of diversity you can experience in Northeast India. Thousands of languages, wonderful dresses, colorful dresses. Diversity is soul of humanity. If you go to Northeast India, you will see that this is what we would like to create in this world. The Mother Earth represents diversity of the society, diversity of the culture, diversity of everything, because it is the soul of humanity. And that's where Dr. Abba Pulu represents one of the very ancient culture from the Northeast India, and he is a professor there. He is going to talk about the Northeast cultures. And then I have my very good friend Vijay Swami. Vijay Swami has dedicated all his life for Northeast. He originally belongs to Maharashtra, but all his life he spent in Arunachal Pradesh doing social work, volunteering. All is 24 by 7 for Northeast region. He is more of a Northeast guy than a Maharashtrian. And he is now executive director of one of the very interesting institution known as Research Institute for World Ancient Traditions and Cultural Heritage, ReWatch. They have a beautiful museum. Everybody was thinking that in a small village like Jinjili, if you establish a museum, who will go there? And Vijay Swami's contribution, more than 10,000 people have participated in that museum activities in last 1 year. It is incredible, unbelievable. And Vijay Swami, we are very honored to have you here. I think as per the program now, I hope I have covered all the introductions, and if Vijaya Lakshmi ji allows me, then I will. Can I introduce? Can I invite Dr. Abba Pulu to start his presentations? Are we on time?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my request to all the speakers is that please restrict your talk to 10 minutes so that we have a very big audience here now, and 85 people are there. I can see them, and kindly leave some time for them to ask you questions, because your wisdom has to be shared with these people. So your presentation about your thought processes in less than 10 minutes will help us to have more interactions. Terima kasih. I am wearing a nice Indonesian batik because I was told that I must wear a colorful dresses. So I am wearing an Indonesian batik, and here is Dr. Abba Pulu for us. Dr. Abba Pulu, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm there, sir.
Please go ahead. I hope I have introduced you properly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So
So
I'd
we
like
don't
to
see
share
your
screen
video.
first. Yes. I'll just switch off the video. Then is it visible? Hello, ma'am. Is it
Yes,
visible?
sir, we
My
can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
yeah. Okay. So at first, namaskaram to all the panelists,
If you,
and
yeah.
then to all the attendees as well. So kindly, might some say because of this poor network, there might be some disturbance, but kindly bear with that. So since I don't have much time, so I'll start with my say talk or say presentation. So today, basically, I'll be talking about the tribal culture and conservation. So a particular tribe, which is Idumishmi tribe, from which I belong from this particular. I'm talking about this particular topic. So if you talk about tribal life, conservation, there are studies have come up with say conclusion or say the findings that tribal people have a crucial role to play in global conservation. They are better taking care of their environment than anyone else. So you'll find a number of say examples all over the world. So I have just quoted three examples from Tanzania. From I'm not going to detail because there's shortest of time. So from Tanzania, and then from USA and Australia, exactly they have come out with the say findings that these tribal people, they are more connected and they can conserve our mother earth, or say our nature, much better than anyone else. So on a similar line, I'll be talking about this tribal life or the tribal culture of our people, our community, which is Idumishmi community, and from Arunachal Pradesh, India. Just to show you, this is India and then Arunachal Pradesh, and this is the particular place from where we belong, this Diwang Valley and Lower Diwang Valley. This is the place where Idumishmi people inhabit.
Sir, we are not able to hear you. Dr. Abba?
Hello.
Sir, we are not
I
able
think
to
there's
see you
a
or hear
network
you.
problem. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Not very clearly, but we can hear
Actually,
you.
the problem, sorry, this problem with this network connectivity, internet connectivity.
So
So
if
anyway, shall I continue?
you just do one thing, you just email that presentation and we'll share screen so it's easier then.
I have emailed the presentation already.
So then we will
Yes,
share the
yes, I have.
screen. You don't
I
share the
have
screen,
sent.
sir. Koti ji, can you share the
Okay,
screen,
okay.
please? Koti, can you share the screen?
Yeah, one moment, ma'am.
Yeah. Not this one. Koti, not this.
Yeah, one more.
Not this one.
Not this one.
Session 1 ఒకటే కదా ఒకసారి
For session 1, we have received only one PPT.
Varsha?
Ms. Dr. Abba, can you please send your PPT again because we haven't received it to our email ID. Sorry, I just checked the email because we haven't received it. If you
So by the time he sends it, can we have somebody else speak, sir?
Yeah, that will be a great idea. Can we ask Sri Vijayaswamy to go ahead and then in the meantime set up the thing with Dr. Abba Pulu? Vijayji, are you there? Abba, is it okay to request Vijayaswamy to move?
No problem. No problem. No problem. Sir.
Yeah.
No problem.
You exactly talk like Dr. Ishta Pulu. Vijayji, go ahead, please.
Sir. Thank you.
And in the meantime, we will connect the Dr. Pulu presentation. Unmute yourself, please.
We have network this problem actually all over, no? So we don't know whether how this in rowing also it will go, how it will go, but I will start getting this. At very outset, really, I thank you for Picha Lakshmi ji to invite me to the webinar. And very important wisdom of the ancients have been this for this webinar. And when wisdom of the ancient simply cannot discuss with the ethnic community.
Vijayji?
Yes, sir. I think the connections in Arunachal seem to not be very good.
Yeah, I am aware of it. They are not in Bangalore anyway.
Yeah, so I think we will move to the next person, whoever has a connection, and then come back to them.
Sounds good. We'll do that. Then, Elizabeth, how are you? Would you like to go ahead?
You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, please unmute yourself and then start.
You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay, she got it.
Okay, I'm learning. You see all these books here? I have only read 2 in my whole life. I'm not any academic person. Thank you for the introduction you gave of me. And all I can talk about is the things I have learned orally from my elders. So, good morning to you all, distinguished elders, brothers and sisters, and everyone who is listening and sharing this moment. Today is the day of Ik in our sacred calendar. And Ik is the day of the air, the one of the elements that sustain our life. And through the elements, we all are connected. And Ik is a day of that is very present in every moment of our life, from the moment we are born until the time to when we leave this body. We can see the presence of the air when we see the leaves on the trees dancing with the wind, or the clouds moving. And the air comes and cleans us too. It's one of the elements that we can use to cleanse, or we can ask in our prayers. We can meditate to the wind to remove any contagious illnesses that may come through the air. You know, like to the virus, we can speak to the virus and say, please, you know, go on the side. Don't hurt us. So this is the day of the day of today. You know, as customary, we always, our life moves around the calendars. And in Guatemala, there are two worlds, the Western world and the indigenous world, and they go parallel. Most of the indigenous people, they live in the countryside, in the rural areas, and they are very connected to the land because they live out of agriculture. In our ceremonies, we are based the ceremonies in the calendar. We have days for praying for life, for health, other days for gratitude, and so on, for wisdom, and so on. There are 20 days in our calendar, and the calendar is within us because it came out of we counted 10 fingers connected to 10 cosmic energies, and we have 10 toes connected to the telluric energies. So that makes 20, and this is when we say our hands and our feet, it's one person, one body. In Maya, we say Winak is one body, and that is the name of the month. And that's why the month has 20 days also, because every finger is connected to all those energies, and our whole life and the universe is within. We have the calendar is the one that guides us in our daily life, and it shows us respect for one another, respect for nature, respect for the creator, respect to the animals, respect for everything. And it brings, if we are in tune with it, we will find peace and harmony within ourselves. We have days dedicated to the fire, for instance, the fire is very central to the ceremonies, very central to the spirituality. But there is another internal fire, and it's in the form of love. The elders say when that fire is gone, then we have lost the tradition. They are day for the water, and the water is, it unifies us. We all drink the same waters, and this water converts into blood in our veins. It runs like the rivers in our veins, just like the rivers on Mother Earth. We have a day for the earth, and the earth symbolizes the woman, also our mountains, our nature. And it's one earth that, for all of us, it's our mother. The mother that provides with our food, provides with our water, our medicine. It gives us a place to be, not only for us, for the animals, the trees, for everything, and so on. So this is how we go with the calendar. We have other days for gratitude or for whatever need we may have. We also have another calendar that has 365 days. It's called the Hub, and this is present in the pyramids of Chichen Itza in Mexico. That pyramid has 4 stars on each side of 91 steps each. So if we multiply the 91 by 4, it's 364 days plus 1 that is like the crown at the top. This calendar of Hub calendar is the one used in agriculture, mainly in agriculture. Connect us to the earth and to the cosmic forces. In this calendar are the solstices, the equinoxes, the seasons of the year, the moon, the phases of the moon. And this is very important in agriculture to know when to plant, when to harvest. For instance, for medicinal plants, they are harvested in a full moon because that's when they have the full strength. They said if you picked up a medicinal plant in any time you want to, and without asking her or telling the plant what you want it for, it would be very weak in its content. It's also, the moon is, you know, when a child is born, the mother has gone through 9 full moons. And then you wait for the day when the child is born. So it's a connection to everything. We have Ishimche, one of our sacred sites here in Guatemala. There are 7 mounts and they are connected to the Pleiades. There are other places that in other countries like that connect to the Orion and other stars. How we connect to Earth also, other forms, it's like when the farmer is preparing the land for the plantation, they give the children candies and they send them to the field to play. So the earth receives the sweetness and the joy of the children bring. So that's one way of preparing the earth. And then they come the planting. And they also, if you see when they do ceremonies and they are going to move the fire, you blow before you take the stick. And that is a connection with the air, with the fire. Or when you are cooking, maybe waiting for you're going to have a feast, you have many people coming in for dinner. And so you bless the food, you know, and then the food will be enough for everybody. And then we have another calendar, and they all are based in these 20 days. The other calendar is the Choltun, that we call the calendar of long count, because it has a duration of 5,200 years. And this is the era that we have just entered. Out of the 5,200 years in length, we are just beginning to. And this is the era of love, oneness, and unity. And we see how the world is, there's so much turbulence in this day. There is fear, there is violence, and so on. But, and we say, but we are in the time of love. But that's what we are here for. We are not here for money. We are here for love. And so this is it's like the dark forces or the old ways are fighting for, you know, fear of the new, of what is coming, fear of letting go. And then the news, you know, the news, but they work for, it's a business. So we just go with what our heart tells and don't be afraid. It's like surfing. And this is, if we are here together, the virus didn't stop us from coming together, you know, so we are, it's a time for creativity. we say, oh, the times are so bad and so, but then that's for us, but not for nature. Nature, they show us a revival, the animals happier, the plants coming back. I mean, there was life in nature. And that is teaching us that they don't need us. You know, they can do without us, but we need them. We need the earth. That's why we have to take care of Mother Earth. And we have a prophecy that says, together we will see the place where we have come from. And the prophecy says, we are the one of yesterday, we are the ones of today, and we will be the ones of tomorrow. So, thank you. I don't hear you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It was such a wonderful explanation of the Mayan culture and the wisdom there. And in such a simple words, you have expressed such a great thought process. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that very much. So,
Thank you.
and we appreciate your presence here all the way from Guatemala. And
I'm
you are
just
wonderful.
learning this new technology also.
Yeah,
My third
we really
time.
appreciate. That was such a wonderful thing that after reading only 2 books out of that 1,000 behind you, you could manage the technology. It is great. So I would like to check with, is Basil around? Basil Ugorji? Has he joined us?
Not yet, sir. He hasn't joined us.
He hasn't joined us. Okay. So let us go back to Vijay Swami. Are you okay? No, it looks like he's also not on line. So, in the interest of the time, may I request Professor Gauri Mahulikar to present her thoughts to all of us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the kind words in introduction, and thank you, Soft Power, for this opportunity. Being a Sanskrit student all through my life, I don't say professor, I am a student still. So I would like to appeal to everybody here, in the Vedic language. Shrunuvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha and Ano Bhadra Kratavo Yantu Vishwataha. Listen, you all who are the sons of children of immortality, and let noble thoughts come to us from all the directions. Now, when we are celebrating Mother Earth, this is a celebration of Mother Earth, I'm reminded of Bhumi Sutra, from which our chair quoted, Mata Bhumihi Putroham Prithivyaha. So that comes in the Atharva Veda, 12th Kanda for Sukta, which is Prithivi Sukta or Bhumi Sukta. And I think during the independence period, before the independence period, it was praised as Matrubhumi Sukta. So I would go with that initially, and then would come to the wildlife, which I want to focus more. So Prithivi, which is Prathanat Prithivi, which is widespread, it is Aditi because it is boundless. She is called Jagataha Pratishtha. She is the Pratishtha, she is the substratum of all the movable things. So that includes not only the bipeds, the human beings, the mankind, but also the quadrupeds. And that is where, all the Vedic seers have always praised and prayed for Shanno Dvipade, Shan Chatushpade. So let there be welfare for the bipeds as well as the quadrupeds. And this Prithvi, it is said that let the hills, the mountains, the snowy peaks, the rivers, the forest, and the animals and the beasts and the beings, let them all be happy and let them all be pleasant for us. Syona naha bhavantu. Syona sukhakaraha. So let them all be happy, giving happiness to us. And then they say that this Prithvi, she smells of herbs because of Aranya. She smells of herbs, and the Vedic seer says, Te tena asman surabhihi krino. With that fragrance, render that fragrance to us and make us also fragrant with the herbal fragrance. There is a beautiful sutta to Aranyani in Rigveda, and the seer asks her, "Oh Aranyani, oh lady," she is a lady, right? And a forest deity, "Are you not afraid? You are so far away from the city life, from the buzz of the world. Are you not afraid? But you will not be, because you are equipped with and you are full of the chirping of the birds and all the croaking of the frogs and all the wild roars of the wild beasts, the animals and all. So you have company with you." So this is the life, you know. The Vedic seers always deified all the natural phenomena. As Elizabeth Bagini just rightly pointed out, the indigenous people were the nature worshippers. The Rigvedic seers also were nature worshippers. We have the Pancha Mahabhutas, Prithvi, Up, Tej, Vayu and Akasha, the earth, the waters, the fire element, the wind and the sky. So these are the 5 elements which are deified. The basic deities are the gods. The godhood as such has started from that only. So with that, you know, I'll come to the birds, the beasts and all these things. Most of the Vedic gods, they are compared to mainly the Vrishabha, as the Trichur brothers, you know, in the Namami Gange. What a beautiful start for this program. And as he rightly pointed out, Vrishabha, the Raswara, the Rishabha. So it has come from Vrishabha. It's a sign of virility. It's a sign of prowess. And all the Vedic deities, especially Indra, Agni, Vayu, etc., you know, they are called Vrishabha, or they are compared with the intoxicated elephants. Elephant, Dana, Namrugo, Varunaha. So that is what they say, you know. Dana, Mrugo, Navarana. Hari Om.
Yes, madam.
There is some sound here. Some other sound.
Madam Elizabeth, can you mute yourself, please?
Am I okay now?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay, okay. And then there is the sutta praising Indra, saying Mrugona bhimaha kucharo girishtaha. You know, so I mean the donkeys, the cattle, the horses, the tigers, camels, elephants, and the birds like the cock, the pigeon, eagle, hawk, even vulture, and reptiles like the snakes and crocodile. Everybody is taken into consideration. There is a right for coexistence on this Mother Earth, because after all, she is Jagataha Pratishtha. She is the Pratishtha for all the moving beings, whether wild or mild. And therefore, you know, when we say how these animals are related to the Vedic deities have their mounts, you know, the Vahanas, in the form of these birds and animals. For example, the Vedic deity Ushas, the early dawn, is associated with the red cattle, Gomati or Ashwavati. Surya is associated with the yellow horses. Ashwina are born from the horse form of Surya. They themselves have the name Ashwa in them. Then Rudra is called Pashupati, who is a prototype of the Puranic Shiva, who is also associated with Nandi. Agni is associated with the goat. The Ganga, Namami Gange we started. Ganga has a crocodile for her Vahana. And it has been said, you know, that we have to learn so many things from these animals. And who is the best animal? Mahisham Mriganam Sheno Gridranam. In the 9th mandala of the Rigveda, the bison is the most valiant of all the animals, and hawk is of the wild birds. So Shenaha Gridranam. We do have the Shena Chiti in the sacrificial, the ritualistic tradition also. We have the Shena Chiti or Garuda Chiti, the fire altar made in the form of a bird. And it is believed that the bird will take you, because the beak of the bird is towards the east, and he will take the Yajamana to the heavenly world. Now we know we go for a forest walk and safari and all that, we are asked to keep quiet. Why? Because the birds get afraid, they are frightened by loud sounds. We have the same thing in the Rigveda, the first mandala, Swanaduta Bibhyuhu Patatrinaha. The birds get frightened by loud sounds. Why? Because they themselves chirp so sweetly, and their chirping is compared with Samagana of the Brahmins. So they are like Samaga. And people are advised to, stay connected, stay together in groups. Hauso Yatha Ganam. As Hausa, the swans, always, they flock together. We say birds of the same feather flock together. But as the Hausa always stay in groups, similarly, people should stay in groups. That is what it said. And cattle, of course, is of the most important because they are wealth. Gavo, Bhagaha. And they are invoked to grant us strength by their milk and all the milk products and give us luster. Ashriram Krunuta Supratikam, says Rigveda. And it is said that the house where you hear the bellowing of the cows, that is the most prosperous of all the abodes. So the Vedic seers praising the cows like this is very, very phenomenal. From Vedas we come to Puranas, the Sanskriti, the Sanatana Dharma is the same. The tradition remains the same in a different form, in a more more flavor of human-animal coexistence we find in the Puranas, as the Vishnu's avatars could be connected with the birds and the beasts, right from fish, the Matsyavatara, the Kurmavatara, the Varaha Avatara, Nrisimha Avatara. So all these are connected with the birds and animals. Then the Shashti Devi is also connected with a bird. Then Devi is Mahishasura Mardini, goddess Durga, and Ganesha riding a mouse, Skanda riding a peacock, Vishnu an eagle, Yama a bison, and Kama, Madana, the Cupid, god of love, he has parrot as his vehicle. So they all speak of coexistence. Again, another thing in the Smritis we find is Bhuta Yajna. The Panchamaha Yajnas are praised for every Grihastha. Amongst that is one is Bhuta Yajna, offering something for the beings. So some flour, some sugar, crystals of sugar for ants near the roots of the tree, or some go grass is there, kakabali is there. So Bhuta Yajna is very, very important, and it is one of the 5 basic rituals to be done by a householder. Now, when we come to the animals, we have the variety, like Jarayuja producing young living beings like mammals. Then Andaja, the oviparous like birds. Then Ayonija, they are not born of womb like worms, etc. Then Jalaja, they are waterborne like fish. Svedaja, they are born from excretion like the vermines. Then Kambuja, born of shell. And we all know the Panchajanya Shankha, which is a Kambuja. Kambuja Shankasura was there. Krishna killed him and got that Panchajanya. Upanishads also praise the folk literature, and they talk about the Pashu Vidya and the Pakshi Vidya and the language. The entire Panchatantra is the animation we have. They speak in the human tongue. Now monkeys formed Rama's army, the entire Ramayana. Monkeys formed the army, and later on one of the monkeys, Hanuman, got a deification, a godhood. Frogs in the Manduka Sukta we have in the Rigveda. Frogs are associated with rains and magical powers. Now, when we talk about the 12 Rashis, the zodiac signs, they have the names of the Mesha, Vrishabha, Karika, Makara, Vrishchika, Meena, so all the birds and the beasts. As Trichur brothers, this Srikrishna rightly pointed out, the Rishabha and the Panchama Kokila, they are also associated. So living in harmony with the surroundings is the way of life in our Sanatana Dharma. And it is said, that how you learn some lessons from animals. I'll just conclude within 3 minutes, sir. Just give me 3 minutes. So, Varam Parvata Durgeshu Bhrantam Vanacharais Saha Na Murkha Jana Samparkaha Surendra Bhavaneshu Api. This is Niti Shataka of Bhartrihari says, it's better to stay, coexist with the wild animals in the forest and on the mountains rather than spend our time with foolish people in good palaces. So animals are better than the foolish people. And an animal like donkey, what does it teach us? We have Trini Shikshecha Gardabha. We can learn 3 things from Gardabha. And what are they? It is basically the Sthita Prajnatva, carrying load without complaining. Then not minding the Shita and Ushna, and always Santushta, always happy. So these are the 3 things we have to learn from a donkey, and 4 things from a cock. Shikshe Chatvari Kukkutat. And they are like getting up early in the morning, Prataruthanam, Yuddham, battle, fight, cockfights are very famous. Samvibhagam cha bandhushu, sharing with your kith and kin, your people, and swayamакрамya bhuktancha, earning your own food. Don't depend upon anybody for that. From a lion, what we can learn? Simhavalokana. A simha, a lion, when he turns his back silently, this is Simhavalokana. Whatever you do, you plan silently, wait for the right time, focus on the task. And even from very, insignificant insects like the bees, you have to learn many things. You can collect bit by bit the good vachanas, the Sukti, Sudhamrita, from small or big text like Pushpebhyaha iva Shatpadaha. And we have in Kautilya Arthashastra like the sanctuaries, the reserved forest for elephants, for deer. We have one in Sarnath, as we all know. Then in Rajatarangini of Kallana, the 10th century, 11th century work on the history of Kashmir, there was a king called Lalitaditya, and he had prohibited fishing in the ponds. When I was in US last year, there were some ponds and fishing was prohibited. So there are, taking care of the animals, birds, fishes, everybody, so that we have a coexistence in ourselves. Then today being 2nd October, Gandhi Jayanti and Lal Bahadur Shastri Jayanti, I am reminded of Ahimsa, and it is said, Ahimsa Prathamam Pushpam. Ahimsa is the first flower to be offered at the feet, lotus feet of Vishnu, and Sarva Bhuta Daya Pushpam, Kshama Pushpam, Visheshataha. That is how the Subhashita goes. And then they say, I'll just end with one Laukika Nyaya. It is called Vana Vyaghra Nyaya. What does it mean? We can't imagine of a forest without tigers. Huh? Without tigers, there is no forest. And where would be the tigers then? Without deer to hunt for them, for their food, there won't be tigers. So deer have to be there. But how will there be deers if there are no forests? If there are no vanas and upavanas? And therefore, wise people should plant trees. So that is the ecological chain, it's like a cycle. And therefore, we take care of each other. Parasparam bhavayantaha shreyah paramavapsyatha. You help others to help your own selves. So that's how I wanted to say. I wanted to start with the word Srishti Sambhrama, basically, because being a Sanskrit student, that too a Nirukta student. So Sambhrama, the word is, like very funny. It is some prefix and Brahma is the root. So it is something like a flurry, a flutter, some confusion, or Brahma is to rotate, revolve around something. But there is one other meaning of Sambhrama, and that is respect. For example, there is a vachana called Grahamupagate Sambhrama Vidhihi. When the guests come to your home, you have to offer them respectfully, with reverence. So Sambhrama could also mean respect. Sambhrama could also mean confusion. So Srishti Sambhrama, to start with this word, when we are celebrating Mother Earth, Srishti Sambhrama, we are really confused. We don't know. And therefore, we have to take the other meaning to respect, give our respect to Mother Earth and glorify her and glorify this wild, World Wildlife Week as well. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I think I have finished within my time. Hari Om, thank you.
धन्यवादः प्राध्यापक गौरी महोदयः अतीव सुन्दर समर्पक विश्लेषणं धन्यवादः. Because of the time, may I request Miss Becky Big Canol from Canada to present her thoughts to all of us. It was wonderful, Dr. Gauri.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please, Becky, go ahead.
Okay,
So
thank
nice
you.
to see you.
It's so wonderful to be here with all of you this morning. Very, very grateful for this opportunity to be with you. What are we at? Almost 9 a.m. in Canada. It's the glorify of trees time of year now. The maples and all of the other deciduous trees are turning all kinds of beautiful colors. The moon of falling leaves, full moon of falling leaves. So I was thinking about what will I talk about today with this wonderful topic about our Mother Earth. And it occurs to me that this is the time of year where we will have just completed our Monoman harvest, which is also known as wild rice. And our lakes throughout our territories, like we're the people of the Great Lakes region. The Anishinaabe are the people of the Great Lakes region because in our stories of creation and migration in Turtle Island, we live upon Turtle Island. Our Anishinaabe people went from the east coast of Turtle Island and inland along the St. Lawrence River, and we were following what we called a megas shell. It was a dome-shaped shell, and it flew through the air and it preceded our journey, and it was telling us that we were to continue to go west until we came to the place where food grows on the water. And we discovered the Monoman. And to us, it's a wondrous seed because it grows in the water. And when the Anishinaabe people were free to roam the land of the Great Lakes given to us by the Creator, we were people of the canoe, people of the wild rice. So we knew the waters very intimately, and we traveled that way. That was our highways throughout our territories. And everywhere we went, there was this wondrous seed that would grow upon the water. And when we harvest it, we'd have food to last us all through the harsh winter. So that was one of the things that we had lost when colonialism came along and it put us on reserved lands. So we were cut off from that knowledge of how to harvest and store and how to prepare that food. And we've been reclaiming that in recent years. And I think about when a lake is resplendent with the Monoman, it also is abundant with bird life, the migratory bird life and the more local birds. And then also it feeds all of the varieties of fish that inhabit our lakes. And then again, it would be a food chain that would be including all of the rodent type animals like the beaver, muskrat, what are a few more, the otter. These creatures all live along the shoreline because food is abundant. And so the monomen is like the center of a great circle of life, and our medicines. If all of you don't mind, I'd like to, I've had the pleasure of having my elder here for the week, and it just so happens here she is as well. And out of protocol, we hope that, you know, nothing we say offends or is contrary to what we've been taught by our elders. But what we try to do is convey our truth as respectfully as possible. So if I can, I'd like to introduce her and give her the platform to speak for a few minutes as well. Her name is Pemasten. It means wind and water woman. And if you don't mind, we have the opportunity of having her with us.
Hi, I do not speak publicly a lot of times, but I go around, open up the conscience, open up the reality to what creation is about. Is so that people understand that what we are being portrayed is not real, that we were brought here in love, to live together in love and harmony. And this is that everything will be all right. I happen to speak to the spirit world. I go where the spirit sends me to bring truth to everyone. I talk to all walks of life. I especially talk to the waters, the lands. I pay a lot of homage. Every year I go across our Turtle Island and I say prayers for Turtle Island, the people, so that they may awaken. Long time ago, like still now we have 13 moons. And I still follow the 13 moons as my ancestors did. When I do my prayers, I do them with the fire and the drum. When you guys were talking, I says, I beat the drum just so the resonance of everything that we were saying, it says, rang true to the universe. And all that we were portraying, that you are portraying in your Zoom in, rings true and clear and is heard at a level, in the spiritual level. I am sure is that many of you heard the call out to awaken. It is in love and harmony. So continue doing the good work, and I love you. Love is the key to all that we endure and to make change, positive change for everybody.
How? Okay.
And I love you.
Thank you for listening. Yes, so what we find, like we are all in the process of reclaiming our language and culture and our relationships to the land. And so we find that it's very important for us to include in our teachings our little children. And one of the things I'm seeing, because the disruption that COVID has had in life, something amazing has happened where our school systems are having to shift and change, and a lot of people are choosing to keep their kids at home and pursue their education at home. And what we found in that process of colonialism is, at first we were taken to residential schools, our grandparents, where the dominant religions tried to erase who these children were. And those that survived were generally taught to be ashamed of who they were, and they were cut off from the knowledge of how to live with the land. So we have teachers now emerging who are going to bring back those traditions, and they encompass so many things. But what we're finding is the most value is one of our most important teachings is called 7 grandfather teachings. So I'm going to recount those just now, and the animals that are associated with each of those. And these teachings are about how to be a good human being. Number 1 on that list is humility, and it's represented by the wolf. And because the wolf lives in a family configuration, each of us must know that humility in order not to try to dominate. The second is bravery, which we encourage in our children, and it's represented by the bear. And the bear is a very large and strong clan amongst our nation. And we believe that the bear also has the responsibility of finding medicines because he eats so closely to the earth, and also because he is roaming throughout, he's like a protection. He's a security force. The third of our grandfather teachings is called honesty, and it's represented up in our culture by the creature known as the Bigfoot, and we call him Zabe. And honesty helps keep right relationships among people, and that way an honest person can walk tall like the Zabe. The next teaching is called wisdom, and it's represented by the beaver. He uses his natural gift wisely for his survival. The beaver will alter his environment in a friendly and sustainable way for the benefit of his family, but it also benefits many other creatures as the beaver does his work. Turtle represents truth, which we call Debwewin. And he was here during the creation of the earth and offered his back to be our home. So we believe that our continent is on the back of a giant turtle. Finally, no, not finally, second to last, we have respect, which is represented by the buffalo. The buffalo will give every part of his being to sustain the human way of living because he respects the balance and needs of others. Finally, we have love, which we call Zegidawin, and it's represented by the eagle. He has the strength to carry all the teachings. So this is basic because within each of these teachings is many, many more lessons. So we are trying to bring our societies back around to respecting each of these animals, learning how to live with them, revive our clan system because they were based on these animals, to regain having a healthy society and balance with our environment. So I really appreciate this chance to share this with you. I hope I've had enough to say. Professor, what's your name? Yashwant, Pathak, thank you for all the wonderful things you said. Mitaka iwasan. We're all related.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Becky. You know, whenever I meet the Native American elders or African elders, I always remember my grandparents. They were telling the stories because most of the philosophy is very well told in the form of stories. And when you start the stories with the animal stories, all the children have full attention toward the story. We learn a lot from the animals and we learn a lot from these stories. So the whole philosophy of ancient traditions is always in terms of a learning process from a known to an unknown, or for a knowledgeable person to a less knowledgeable person. And many a times our animals are more knowledgeable than the human beings, and we learn from them. Your stories were so wonderful, Becky. We loved it, and we are so happy to have you all the way from Canada. And most of our audience is from India. They will love your stories and they will love to, and we'll all will pray that a day will come that you all will get back your land, culture, language, and everything, and create a dent in the world with your philosophy. That's our prayer for you. So, thank you very much. We are here. I have seen a very nice note from our organizer, Vijaya Lakshmi Vijay Kumar. We have close to 100 participants in this discussion, and we have such a wonderful panel here. Our sister Elizabeth Araujo, Becky is there, Professor Gauri Mahulikar is there. We have so many people. So if you have any question based on the discussion which is going on, please write your questions here and we'll try to ask these questions to the appropriate person, and we'll try to get the input on your question. So Vijay Swamiji, are you online? Vijayji? It looks like the Arunachal Pradesh had serious challenge of the bandwidth and the internet. Dr. Abba Pulu, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Would
I'm
you like to
searching.
continue? Would you like to
Yes, sir.
say
I'll try.
something? Yeah,
Yes,
please.
yes. I'll try my best. I'll try my best. I'm searching
No,
for
please,
network
please,
and
please. We want you to say and
yes. So
communicate
I
with
have
us. Yeah,
already
please.
sent this PPT in the
Okay.
WhatsApp to the co-host. So
Okay.
probably they will share.
Yeah, the PPT is
Okay.
ready. Can you please share the presentation?
Perfect. Go ahead, Dr. Abapulu. Your presentation is on.
Okay. So yes. I may not know how long I will be able to connect. So right now I'm just, you can see outside my college or say outside my this institute, because of the poor connectivity and poor network. I'm searching the network itself in the nature. So anyway, uh, uh, I was saying that basically I will be talking about the particular tribal community who lives very close to the mother nature, to the natural environment, and then wildlife. Next, please. Yes, so I have already talked about this. There are n number of studies that have shown that there's a connection, and this is the particular place from where this Idumishmi people belongs. Okay, this also I have done where the Idumishmi people lives. So basically, there's a belief, religious belief, or we have a belief that basically Idumishmi people are generally animist and no idol worship, believe in but spirit. There's a spirit, some powerful spirit out there who controls Mother Nature, who controls wildlife, who controls natural environment, and we call them Khinu. And there are many folktales, folklore in our Idumishmi that relates us from our natural environment and as well as to the wildlife. Next, please. So the presence of several spirit in terms of farm, house, forest, and mountains. We do believe that all these things have their own separate. For forest, they have separate. There is a separate spirit, and for mountains there is a separate spirit. And Idu people follow code of conduct and behavior so that they get the blessing and success in farming, hunting, and other resource activity. And if people fail to satisfy the spirit, harvest may fail, and hunt may can also be unsuccessful. So that is why they always keep a code of conduct to keep happy to the all those spirit. Next. So this is just a picture of that our ego or our priest, who is considered to be the main, say, dictionary of our all oral tradition, our oral knowledge. Next. So our relation with forest, like many other tribes of Arunachal Pradesh, as well as from all over the world, we are largely dependent on forest in our day-to-day life, like for food, shelter, medicine. So I won't go into detail. Next. However, that there's we do believe that, like I said, there's a presence of forest spirit. In Idumishmi, in generally, we do not cut large trees unless it is used for some house construction or for agriculture purpose. We don't just recklessly cut the trees because we believe that there's a spirit called Asha. Asha is the spirit who looks after large trees and deep forests. And cutting trees may annoy spirits. And if once you annoy the spirit, it can get you lots of negative impact in your personal life, to your family as well. So that is why in earlier days, now also in the deep villages, they do this practice. After cutting the trees, big or large trees, people cover the stumps with mud and trees to prevent ashas from seeing it. So that kind of belief we still have in our culture. Next. Similarly, uh, uh, we also believe that there is a spirit for animals as well. Who is the owner of the animal? All the animals, all large animal, wild animals. That spirit is called Golo. So though hunting is a big part of Idumishmi life, they do hunting, but Idumishmi people regard hunting as a serious activity, and many restrictions and taboos are observed during hunting and trapping. And this is the mass deer hunting. Is an age-old tradition. In the past, used to sold these mass ports to Tibet across the border. Hunting is a very difficult, and hunters may spend 25 to 30 days sometimes in search of such mass deer. Next, please. The point I want to focus is the, like I said, we follow certain restriction and taboos. So when an animal is hunted by Idumishmi people, the hunter performs a ritual. It pays back to the spirit who is the owner of this animal. They pay for the animal he hunted to spirit called Golo. So payment in the form of meat and metal. Usually what they do is that once they hunt the, say, deer, bear, any wild animals, they will pay back to the Golo, and they will say that I have killed your animal, so I'm repaying you in terms of metal and some parts of the that animal you kill. So telling that in the next time, don't, again give me more animals and don't harm me and don't harm my family. I will follow all the rituals, all the taboos, what is right there for me. So this kind of that taboos and relations, or say restrictions, we follow while hunting. Next. So similarly, there are certain animals as well as birds which are forbidden to hunt in Idumishmi. Like, give you the example, killing of tiger is prohibited. We Idumishmi people consider tiger as brother. And killing tiger is one of the most serious crime in our society. If someone killed the tiger, then not only the hunter and his family, but whole village has to go to the certain restrictions. They have to observe 5 to 10 days of say restrictions. They cannot go for other huntings. They cannot go for say any kind of ceremony, death ceremony, those things. There are n number of restrictions that has to follow once you kill the tiger. And it is say it is, they consider it, killing a tiger is like killing a man, killing a human being, equivalent to killing a human being. So there is a that is why we prohibited killing of tiger, because we consider them as brother. Similarly, we also do not hunt hulok gibbons. And large animal killing demands various personal sacrifice, usually for at least 5 days. And so once we kill bear, deer, or any kind of wild animals, we go for the restrictions for the 5 days. And in these 5 days, there are certain restrictions that one has to follow. And you cannot again go back to the forest, and you cannot started killing again until and unless you have completed those 5 days. And this this taboos function as, and therefore this genas means taboos basically. Therefore this taboos can function as an intricate conservation device. Next. So when the hunters returns home, there are 3 kinds of restriction. Their food, and there are certain food he cannot eat, and abstinence from the sex, and the place. There are certain places he cannot go for 5 days. For 5 days he cannot go to the certain places because he has hunted a wild animal. Next. So this is the, the hunters, Idumishmi hunters with his trophies. What they do is that once they hunt, they keep the skull in their, houses. They decorate it they decorate there in the house. So it is a pride for them. It is a trophy for them. So this is one of the picture from our one of the village. Next. These are some picture I wanted to show. On the one hand, you can say the old person, following old traditional way of hunting with bows and arrows. On the other side, you'll see a young hunter with his live cartridges. Next. And these are some animals which is very much there in our Mishmi Hills or Mishmi areas. Next. So similarly, in whether it's related to hunting, whether it is related to forest, for everything, like from birth ceremony, death ceremony, marriage ceremony, everywhere we always dependent on this mother nature. And there are certain say forest product which becomes very necessary to for certain ceremonies, like for birth ceremony. On the delivery of the child, we collect the elephant grass. What we call is apoton. We collect that elephant grass, and we believe that that elephant grass will protect the little baby from evil spirit and welfare of the child. And what we do is that we cut that elephant grass, and we will keep in all the 4 walls of the room where newborn baby sleeps. So of course, and for do that we call the priest to perform a ritual ceremony. Next. So this is the elephant grass which I was talking about, and this is, you can see in the below in the image where in the room we have kept the elephant grass in the walls. Next. So okay, just I by mistake I put animation. I think animation. Just do say this one. So basically, I will not take. That's fine. Even our dresses. I just wanted to say, even our dresses are inspired by the nature. The women's, they weave their dress. By looking at the hands, feet, moving ants, bamboo stuff, or birds' feather, and many such things. Our motifs, our designs, dress are inspired by these things. Next. These are the dresses just I wanted to show. Next. The Idumishmi people. Next. These are again it's in all this tribal culture that we are for our say to build or to make house, we are totally depend on the say forest. Next. So again in death ceremony also there are certain forest product without which we cannot perform the death ceremony. Next. So say just I'm going very fast because I don't know where the network may disconnect anytime. So that is why that this concept of this restriction or say taboos can be infused into a conservation action plan. So, and it is like important that indigenous and the local knowledge is and will be a critical part of protecting the plants, biodiversity, and the overall health of ecosystem. Therefore, what I feel is that priority should be conservation with respect for human rights, or say with respect to protecting the tribal culture of the people who are living there and who are managing this area. So if we can convert or rethink of this conservation plan or say modeling, then of course there can be a another successful story, or there can be another picture from where we can save our mother earth, or from where we can save our forest environment and then your wildlife. So but however, having said that, from my community, I'll just end up with the 2 points that challenge that is being faced by my community. Next. Challenges which are we are facing right now in my community is that, that conversion into different religion. There are young hunters, youth hunters, they are converting themselves into the different religions. For say Christianity, they're converting into the Christianity just because they don't want to follow the restrictions, they don't want to follow the taboos. So if some concerned person or elder person counters that particular hunter, that why you are not following this our taboos, our restrictions, you are annoying the spirit, then they simply say that we are Christian, we are from different religion, and we don't in our religion we don't consider these taboos and restrictions. So that now in recently this kind of things are developing in our community, in our Mishmi area. And another thing is that mushrooming of dams. Mushrooming of dams is becoming a challenge for our community, for whole society, not only for the community's existence in relation to the forest, in relation to the wildlife, but it has lots of say other impact. It will have other impact on our day-to-day life. Because next I will show you one example why I'm saying this particular point. See, this is a simple, I have sketched this Dibang Valley district where Idi people live. So here you can see this is the water river basin, and this within a single river basin 17 dams are proposed, and 17 dams are proposed, and among them 2 are the largest dams of the country. One is around 3000 megawatt, another one is 4000 megawatt. So you can imagine that once these 17 dams are constructed in this single river basin, then it can you cannot imagine it can cause such kind of damage to the whole environment, whole mother earth, you say, or wildlife, forest ecology. So it will bring lots of ecological imbalance. And in the right side, I've just simply given you the one say example that from this Italing power project, which is about 4000 megawatt, they are going to construct. There, as per the report, they will cut down 280,677 trees just for a constructing a dam. So this, from this act, or say this kind of concept of development, I don't think so this will really helpful, or this will really help us to protect our environment. On the other hand, we are dependent on the environment, and we talk about let's protect our environment, let's balance the ecological balance. But on the other hand, look at the developmental concept of development plan of our say government, our policy maker. See, in a way, they are jeopardizing our whole natural ecosystem. So that is where I feel that even not only us, but the government, they have to rethink about this this imprudent kind of concept of development. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abba Pulu. It was such a wonderful knowledge you shared, how to maintain the biodiversity and how to maintain the environment. And you brought 2 beautiful topics which are very important to all the ancient traditions around the world. And that's why I've always pointed it out. The ancient traditions are 2000 years old. The reason is 2000 years before, one person came. Before 2000 years, the whole world was believers. They believed in one spirit, they believed in one God, or some existence of some greater power. But suddenly the world was divided into 2 parts, believers and non-believers. And you brought out that challenge which Idu Mishimis and Arunachali people are facing about conversion. That was the challenge faced by Native American, that was the challenge faced by African, that was the challenge faced by pagans, everywhere all over the world. This challenge has to be addressed, and then the environmental, developmental, redefining the development. We need to learn a lot from the ancient traditions and do not follow exactly the model which has been totally a failure. We can see the failure of development models which were developed by the Western world. But unless the ancient traditions are stronger to show how the new model will be having challenges there. But we really appreciate your contribution to this wonderful session, Dr. Abba Pulu. Wonderful. It was great to hear your things. May I request Dr. Nandini, because we were trying to get Dr. Vijay Swami from Rewatch, but unfortunately the bandwidth and the internet is creating problem. Is Dr. Nandini around?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to go ahead and represent Rewatch, Vijay Swami and whatever yourself too? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dr. Nandini is associated with Rewatch and she's doing a lot of research work in collaboration with Rewatch, and she's a wonderful person. Thank you, Dr. Nandini, for 11th hour challenge we had.
Namaste. Thank you all. I'm here on behalf of Vijay Swamiji. I'm the mouth of Rewatch. I'm here in Detroit, North America right now. But I wish to say the words, whatever Vijay Swamiji wish to say in this platform. Wisdom of ancients. In the early periods of human history, environment strongly determined the lives and activities of the people. They were very much close to Mother Earth, forest, and natural resources. Historical documents and ancient Indian texts like Arthashastra, Vedas, Manusmriti, Brahma Samhita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Rajatarangini, Rukshayurveda reflected the concepts of forest ecology and conservation in a sustainable manner. The Indus Valley civilization is one of the best examples where several characteristics of the city planning and social structure showed environmental awareness. Today, humanity is facing challenges of eroding natural resources and declining ecosystems services due to the multitude of threats created by unprecedented growth and consumerism leading to unplanned intrusions by man. That's what you have heard from Dr. Abba Pulu as one of the example. However, look at the other side. We realize that indigenous knowledge system protects and promotes environment. Indigenous people of the world own, occupy, use more than 22% of the global land area. Numbering of about 500 million indigenous people speaking the world's almost 7,000 languages, they represent greater part of the world's cultural diversity and so the biodiversity also. Today, we find that their ancient wisdom, as we call it now, traditional knowledge transferred from generation to generations since ages is vital for sustainability of natural resources, including forest, water, and the soil. We, the people today, just inherited it. Wisdom keepers of this traditional knowledge system were the individual scientists themselves. Dr. Yashwant Pathak ji is here. One day while discussing with Yashwant ji about this traditional knowledge system, Vijay Swamiji asked a question, where is the scientific proof to the traditional knowledge system? And his answer was an eye-opening. Who are you to question this knowledge system? That is based on thousands of years experiences of millions of people, isn't it? And really had nothing to say. Fortunately, we find that even the United Nations stands ready to support all initiatives aimed at realizing the rights and aspirations of indigenous people. They have fixed SDGs for mankind. These are being brought to the communities by the various RCEs, and these activities have to be taken to a larger country like India by participation of more stakeholders and educational institutions. For example, RCE East Arunachal Pradesh headquartered at Rewatch has been promoting various activities to the communities. Recently, during the COVID-19 days, the RCA organized a prayer called We Heard You Mother Earth, and many local communities participated in it. Ancient wisdom of the indigenous people or the ethnic communities give louder and louder messages to all of us that we being of human society is related to the well-being of natural system. Humans are a part of nature and not above the nature. Here I remember few lines of a poem. When your blood in vein returns to the sea and the earth in your bones return to the ground, perhaps then you will remember that this land does not belong to you. It is you who belong to this land. This message is very clear to all of us in this modern age. The ethnic communities hold on to this wisdom still today. That's why the concept of gurus, Vatika, or sacred gurus, Tapovana of India are rich in biodiversity and ecological wealth. I think all of you remember the story of Vaishnavis of Rajasthan. And one of the elders said, if one has to lose head or life for saving a tree, know that the bargain is inexpensive. What a commitment and love for the nature around. I am in Northeast India and particularly in Arunachal Pradesh, living with local ethnic communities for more than 3.5 decades. They taught me great lessons as an environmentalist that no university can teach. These religious traditions, tribal traditions, livelihood traditions, taboo traditions are so much scientific and appealing in the modern context. If you count the main tribes and the subgroups, so if you can count, there are more than 400 ethnic communities in Northeast India, Eastern Himalaya, which is known as one of the active biodiversity hotspots of the world. The credit of this surviving hotspot goes to their ancient wisdom in developing these living traditions. Water harvesting and sustainable use of land and resource of Apathanis, it is one of the tribes living in Arunachal Pradesh, has acknowledged by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. This recognition is to their ancient wisdom and age-old living practices. Sacred groves of Meghalaya, community conservation of uh, Texas, of Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh, rhododendrons of Sikkim, bamboos of Tripura, one-horned rhinos of Assam, and orchids of Manipur are some of the best examples of local communities living practices in maintaining their relations with Mother Earth. We have sufficiently.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nandini ji. We are sorry, we are running out of time. Would you like to make some last remarks?
Sure. Definitely. Thank you. The Research Institute of World Ancient Traditions, Culture and Heritage stands for this. It facilitates and promotes local intelligentsia to do this in their own fashion, but with a scientific approach. It is a time that government should take this as an important agenda in state and national planning. Then alone, the scientific wisdom could not be nurtured and carried forward to the next generation, so that the only home of ours in this universe could be kept alive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini ji. I would like to close the session with deep gratitude to Professor Yashwant Pathak. He founded the International Center for Cultural Studies way back in 1997, and it's been doing wonderful work in promoting its vision of universal well-being, which is based on age-old Indian wisdom. He started out the Institute for Indo-African Studies, but now includes the native communities of Africa, Australasia, Europe, North America, South America, and Southeast Asia. And in this session, we saw how beautifully he brought together members of this panel from across the world. Thank you so much, Professor Pathak, and to all the panelists. Our deep respect for the wisdom that you are preserving.